Caesarea Maritime. In the time of Christ, this was a gleaming, super modern port. It was built by Herod the Great as the largest man-made seaport in the world at the time. It had stunning new marble buildings, running water, a sewage system, a massive theater, not one but two racetrack stadiums for chariot races, beautiful temples, one of King Herod's palaces with a pool on the ocean cliffs, and it was all very cutting edge. The harbor here was built with the then new technology of hydraulic cement. It was the headquarters of the entire Roman army in Judea, the home base for Pontius Pilate. And this city plays a major role in the book of Acts in the Bible. In Acts 8, the Apostle Philip lives here with his 4 prophet daughters. In Acts 12, Herod Agrippa dies here. Paul visited here 4 times. But to me, what makes it most important in the history of Christianity is another story that takes place in the book of Acts, because this spot right here, Caesarea, is really the launching point of the gospel to go to the whole world. Here's what happens. The Apostle Peter is staying just down the coast in the ancient port city of Joppa, also known as Jaffa today. You can visit the very place Peter is said to have stayed. Just go uphill from the harbor, down a narrow alley and a flight of steps, to the ancient house of Simon the Tanner. Although this structure is only about 300 years old, there's evidence Christians and Muslims venerated this spot for centuries. It's on the roof here that Peter has a vision. A blanket is let down from heaven with all sorts of things to eat, both kosher and non-kosher. And then a voice from heaven says, "Peter, get up and eat." So this is a huge deal. This is rocking Peter's world. This sets the stage for a gigantic development in the history of Christianity, because he's being shown things that a Jew is not supposed to eat. All kinds of non-kosher food is in this vision, like probably shrimp and ham and bacon. And it says he's very perplexed at this. And then Peter is sent for by a Gentile. And not just a Gentile, a Roman. And not just a Roman, a centurion, a commander. And not just a centurion, but the commander of the Italian regiment. And so this is a Gentile of Gentiles calling Peter from the largely Jewish enclave of Joppa up the coast here to the local headquarters of the Roman world, Caesarea. Watch what happens next. Acts 10:24. They arrived in Caesarea the following day. Cornelius was waiting for them and had called together his relatives and close friends. As Peter entered his home, Cornelius fell at his feet and worshiped him. But Peter pulled him up and said, "Stand up, I'm a human being just like you." And so they talked together and went inside where many others were assembled. And Peter told them, "You know, it's against our laws for a Jewish man to enter a Gentile home like this or to associate with you. But God has shown me that I should no longer think of anyone as impure or unclean. And so I came without objection as soon as I was sent for. And now, tell me why you sent for me." Cornelius replied, 4 days ago, I was praying in my house about this same time, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And suddenly, a man in dazzling clothes was standing in front of me. And he told me, "Cornelius, your prayer has been heard, and your gifts to the poor have been noticed by God. Now, send messengers to Joppa and summon a man named Simon Peter. He's staying in the home of Simon, a tanner who lives by the seashore. And so I sent for you at once, and it was good of you to come. And now we're all here, waiting before God to hear the message the Lord has given you." And then Peter replied, "I see very clearly that God shows no favoritism. In every nation, he accepts those who fear him and do what is right. This is the message of good news for the people of Israel, that there is peace with God through Jesus Christ, who is Lord of all." and everything changes. This really is a point in history where the whole paradigm is shifted, because it becomes clear that the message of Jesus is not just for Israel, but for everybody all over the world, for this most Gentile of Gentiles, Cornelius and his friends and his relatives. And you know what I really love about this story is that it's a story of inclusion and not exclusion. It shows you that Jesus really did come to seek and save the lost of all folds, the sheep of all folds of every nation. And by the way, this includes you. Maybe you in your life have felt excluded at times. You in your life have been kind of shoved out. Maybe you were excluded from teams when you were young and you were never picked. Maybe you got divorced and you didn't want to get divorced. Or maybe you've experienced rejection from other loved ones or even other religions in your life. Well, the message of Christ is He doesn't exclude you. He doesn't exclude anyone. He welcomes all to come to Him to hear the word of life. And that is really good news.